Mississippi State, South Carolina. We've got South Carolina 6.5 point home favorites, 50 the total in this one. I'm laying it with South Kakalaki, Connor. I'm going to keep it up this fade train that I've got rolling down the tracks right now with Mississippi State. I cashed a ticket with Arizona against them 2 weeks ago, a game they should have won, but they lost in overtime, had too many turnovers, but they moved the ball up and down against Mississippi State's defense. LSU, I came back to fading Mississippi State last week. I laid the 9.5 with LSU, and it was a blowout. All LSU start to finish. This is not a good football team right now. Defense is not good. They've changed the offense for what reason? I have no idea. What is it? Does he want power? Does he want control, Zach Arnett? Why would you fuck around and change a good thing? The air raid was working. Mike Leach and Will Rogers was working perfectly, and now you're changing things up, and it's not the same offense. You're trying to run the ball more, and you're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. I don't like it. I didn't like it right from in camp over the offseason, the spring and summer. I heard that they were changing the offense. I'm like, why are you doing this? With a quarterback that's run air raid for years that he's been here at Mississippi State, don't you think that would fuck up the chemistry? Well, sure enough, look what we're seeing. It has indeed fucked up the chemistry here with Mississippi State. So it's not a team I'm looking to back right now. This is a team that I've got them under their win total for the season. That's off to a nice start. And look, South Carolina's got flaws, and I worry that, a physical, exhausting, hell of an effort by Shane Beamer's crew against Georgia last week. I mean, they hung in there. The defense was very, very good in that game against Georgia. It took forever for Georgia to finally get some traction on offense, and you got to give the South Kakalaki defense for credit. They've still got issues with their offense. Their O-line's been a problem area all year, but I'm not sure those issues, Connor, are going to show up here against Mississippi State, who kind of lack a pass rush based on what I saw last week against LSU. So I'm laying it here with the home favorite, South Carolina. I'm fading Mississippi State for a third straight time, and it's been going well so far. I think it can go well again here. What do you think, Connor?
I agree with you here with South Carolina. I would look to lay it.
Good coaching advantage, too. Arnett does not impress me. Beamer does.
Not at all. But we were live for the game, the LSU Mississippi State in the morning. Me and Cab. Will Rogers was just awful. He was awful. He was like 1 for his first 14. Like, I thought something was wrong with his arm. Because he can't hit a pass. And what I thought is they wanted to run the ball. I think they ran it once in the first 15 plays. And then they were just incompletions. So I'm just like, what are they doing here? Like, what is this offense? And you talked about it. They had no pressure on Daniels. 0 zip. He just stood back there, did what he wanted. South Carolina, I thought, played, well last week. And I think hopefully the offensive line gets fixed as the year goes on, and from that first game. And I think it will once they get things settled. But that's the only way to look right now. I just can't back Mississippi State. The defense looked rough. I think South Carolina, I'm not crazy about them, but I think they'll be able to put up points here. So I look that way as well. And I think this gets over. I don't know with South Carolina. Maybe not. I want to look at the total a little bit more, but I think Mississippi State could score a little bit and we could get over this total.
Yeah, South Carolina, that's the one thing that would concern me about the total is I think South Carolina will score. Can Mississippi State do enough for a team?
They did just enough to get it barely over. They scored that last score, 41-14.
Yeah, against LSU because the total was 50. And it's low enough it could get there, but I'm not sold on Mississippi State's offense working well on the road here at South Carolina. And by the way, I have to upgrade significantly South Carolina after that performance against Georgia. When you can show me that for almost 60 minutes, you can match up and hold your own in the trenches the way they did against Georgia along the offensive line and even their defensive line. Look, or their offensive line, I should say, South Carolina, like it hung in there, and against, Georgia's got one of the best defensive fronts in college football. And we had issues all year with South Carolina with some problems along their O-line, and they hung in there. You got to give them a shit ton of credit for that. And their defense played,
defense played well. Rattler threw a few picks. That was kind of, not that he was awful. I think it was 260 a TD, but man, if he could clean that up.
Because Kirby Smart's built that success at Georgia around the trench play and how strong it is, especially the D line and the O line too. And for South Carolina to hang in the trenches that well against Georgia on the road, too, in between the hedges in Athens, in Georgia. I mean, I certainly had to say, you know what, we got to upgrade South Carolina in the old power ratings after that performance. Meanwhile, obviously, you know what I did with Mississippi State after the LSU game? We downgraded them even more than I already had. So put the two together, and you can see why I think 5.5 is a perfectly reasonable number to lay here with South Carolina in this game.